And then we went to the main event. And I got to be honest, under normal circumstances, I would have made a perfunctory comment about this, and I would have skipped it because it was for the tag team title, Lucha Brothers against Jungle Boy and Dino. And you know what that's going to be ahead of time, and I wasn't going to watch it, but I heard what happened, and then I saw the clip, and I said, well, I've got to see how the fuck they got to this point. So I sat through this thing. And I wrote at the start, obviously, this is going to be an indie-style trampoline match with the dinosaur doing shit that he doesn't know how to do. And again, seriously, we could be watching the Briscoes have a program with FTR leading to multiple rematches. But instead, again, 2 years later, we're still looking at the kids playing with their friends on the trampoline with the Jungle Boy and the Lucha Brothers and the Dino douche. At one point, they did a dance routine where the partners and opponents alike all held hands. Did you see that one?
I did.
They all held hands, 4 of them, across the ring and aided each other in jumping up onto the top rope and then flipping. And then the opponents, holding hands with each other, flipped their opposing partners. And at that point, JR made a remark about, well, we're still waiting to see a flow going in this match because all they were trying to do was, it was like watching the cheerleading tryouts where they all go hip, hip, and set up the human pyramid and, you know, lift everybody up and give them a hand up onto the vault to do the mount. This was the worst, contrived, bullshit, sloppiest, most nonsensical tag team match that I think they may have ever aired. Because at least, say what you want about the Hardley Boys, and I always do, they're not as bad as this fucking lizard. It's the most awkward, left-footed, ham-handed, hair-lipped motherfucker. Jungle Boy's window of being a star babyface closes a little more every day that he's stuck with this partner in these kind of matches and not able to work with somebody who can teach him. See Paige Danielson. But Jungle Boy's not getting Danielson. And he's been in these matches for a long time, and I don't know whether it may be a lost cause at this point. He can do the trampoline stuff, but boy, there was potential there that may be lost. Is there any more phony-looking professional wrestler than Dino Douche? Anything he goes into or tries to set up is a half step off. He went to the John Laurinaitis School of Smoothness. Matter of fact, he makes Johnny Ace look like Ricky Steamboat, in my opinion. Even on the fast forward to Speed Search, this sucked. Then the Lucha Brothers at one point go to give Jungle Boy their finish, and the lights go out. And the people, ooh. And then the lights came back on. And they had just let Jungle Boy go, and he's laying there on the mat. And the Lucha Brothers are just standing looking, and nothing happened. And nobody came out, and nothing was explained. And JR said, and I quote, lights have been out way too much tonight for my liking. Was that an accident? Did somebody step on the power strip? Who's airing this show? Go Fight Live? Never explained. Then they did horrible, awkward, phony spots on the apron and the floor with dives. Then they gave Jungle Boy their double foot stomp package pile driver tag team finish, and he kicked out at 2. Which, it's a bullshit move anyway, but it's a bullshit to kick out of it then. So Alex pulls a table up to ringside, not the announce desk, but a table that was sitting there covered with a black tablecloth, thank goodness. But Christian runs him off. So Dino Douche does the spot where he's on the apron and they're kicking him and hitting him, and he's teasing in a very contrived way, falling onto the table, because that's what everybody wants to see out of wrestling, is people break furniture. And then Felix runs and jumps over the top rope and is going to land on the apron to do something to Dino, but Dino catches him around the neck with the goozle. And now he picks Felix up and choke slams him off the apron, through the table, and goes with him. Apparently, Felix's arm is not broken. This would be the modern medical miracle of the age. Possibly he prayed to one of those patron saints, because when none of these guys studied physics in school, I'm sure what they thought was going to happen was that Dino is going to choke slam Felix, and Felix is going to go up and take his own bump through the table, flat of his back, right through the middle of it. And if Dino Douche had been smart enough to stay on the apron, that's probably what would have happened. But since Dino probably had the great idea, well, I'll just jump off the apron too, and I'll land on my feet next to the table. So when you go through the table, it'll look like I really just drove you right through it. That's what it looked like they were going for. But what happened was, besides the fact that the apron is not very wide, when guys choke slam each other in the ring, you've seen The Undertaker do it, Kane do it, all the big guys do the choke slam, grab the goozle, and here you go. You grab the guy by the neck with your right arm, because most everybody's right-handed, and you get under his right arm when you pick the guy up, right? You can see this in your eyes, Brian, in your mind's eye. You get under, boost the guy under his right arm to pick him up. You're not just taking him by the neck. And then he kicks his feet out directly under your right arm, and you bend over forwards, and he's to the side of you, and you follow him down with the choke slam motion. Did I describe that fairly accurately so everybody can see it?
I think so. Very descriptive.
Okay, when you're standing on the apron of the ring, how can the guy be to the right of you when the apron's only a foot wide, 18 inches? And how can you get all the way under the guy's right arm to help boost him up, which is also what helps hold him and turn him? Because you're the rock, you're the anchor there. He's the one that's going upwards and then kicking his feet out. When Dino Douche decided to do the brilliant thing of jumping off the apron with him, even though he wasn't forcing the guy down onto the table with all of his strength, he still had a hold of him. And because now you've got two bodies in motion, the guy that jumped straight up in the air to come straight flat down of his back on the table is connected to the guy that's jumping to his right slightly to jump off of the apron. And as a result, him having his hand on Felix's neck pushed Felix too far out over the table, and he was going to go off the left edge of the table. He was going to overshoot it a bit, and it looked like he realized that and threw his left arm back like, I don't know where I'm going. And when they landed and went through the table broke, and Felix's left arm got caught. His hand hit the ground and caught his arm, and it bent at the elbow in a manner other than which nature intended. And basically, it was one of those Joe Theismann leg break looking things where his arm bent completely backward the goddamn wrong way.
Sid,
there you go. Except apparently the luck of fools, there were no broken bones. They say now it was a badly dislocated elbow. Well, he may have been better off breaking a bone, because to dislocate an elbow that bad would have to mean that you have torn every tendon and ligament in the whole contraption, and who knows what you have to do to fix that or how long it's going to take. But anyway, and then the goddamn thing was, when you watch it back, the lizard is selling this bump worse than the fucking guy with his arm in half. Because Felix is laying there pointing off camera, pointing to his arm at the doctors off camera going, I'm fucked. But Dino, when he went down, the table broke and turned over sideways because Felix landed on the far edge of the table and turned it sideways, and Dino Douche went right down on the edge of the table, caught him in the ribs, and he turned over and started selling his fucking ribs. I hope it broke them all. Fucking idiot. But anyway, that's what happened. It jumped off. It pushed him out just slightly. The guy couldn't take his own bump straight down. He was off direction, threw his arm back, and there you go. But here again, the bigger issue here is they did this for a spot that wasn't even going to be remembered tomorrow. It's not like Mankind and Undertaker and the hip toss off the top of the cell that we're still thinking about 25 years later, because it was so farther and above and beyond what you normally see, and it was so memorable with two of the biggest stars in the business. This was a fucking idiot in a dinosaur mask and another guy in a fucking lucha mask in a rotten tag team match, doing shit that everybody on this program, except for Punk and Danielson and the guys who know what they're doing, everybody on this program does in every match on a daily basis. How many people have gone through tables? How many dives? How many flips? How many spears through fucking walls? Whatever the fuck. It wasn't the finish. It was supposed to lead to the finish. They didn't get the finish done they were going to do because one of the perpetrators of people involved was out there on the floor with a goddamn arm up their ass. It was just a spot that nobody was going to remember just to break furniture because these guys are fucking marks. Maybe not the Lucha Brothers being marks as much as Luchasaurus. The Lucha Brothers just come from Mexico where none of this shit's supposed to mean anything and make any sense, and that's what they do. The other idiot is just a mark for himself, and who has ever uttered these words? Luchasaurus is a good wrestler. Who on this planet has ever said that sentence?
I don't have an answer for you.
So this guy Felix's career could have been ended, and his arm could have been snapped in half because this fucking goofy dinosaur wanted to do some kind of goddamn modified bullshit off the apron through a table that wasn't even the finish of the match, and nobody would have remembered the next day, except for the fact that he almost killed the guy and hospitalized him. Now they remember it. So congratulations, Dino Klutz. They're going to remember you. So now Penthouse and Jungle Boy got a finish. So they just called something, and Jungle Boy rolled him up 1, 2, 3. New champions, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, are the new World Tag Team Champions of AEW. Did I mention that FTR is carrying license plates around and the Briscoe brothers are on a chicken farm? But this goddamn two left-footed klutz and his poor undersized partner are now the World Tag Team Champions after the absolute worst tag team title change I have ever seen in over 45 years of watching wrestling. Let's make it 50. This is 2022. 50 years. Worst title change ever. This is the worst tag team division of a big company in wrestling history. And all the teams, after the victory, came out to stand on the stage and stare like schlubs. And my God, not one star team. You had FTR out there, but they haven't been made to appear like stars. And the rest of the teams, I don't care if you goddamn covered them in fucking fairy dust, they wouldn't look like stars. It was the Hardy Family Office and the Acclaimed and the fucking... this is the worst tag team division in history. And the best team they've got, you never see. And the best team on the horizon that they could get, they're not even talking to, apparently. Doing their own promos on Twitter with the other best team in the world. This was fucking brutal. This hurt everybody's feelings to watch. Your thoughts?
Well, I'll just say to my earlier point, the entire show was brutal to watch after the MJF Punk angle. Didn't like the match. I agree with you. I hate this tag team division. FTR is there. It doesn't matter. You have a few good tag teams there. The division and the way it's booked.
Which ones? Call them out.
Call out the good tag teams?
Right now, who is a good tag team that anybody would give a shit about in this company besides FTR because they're the best in-ring performers, even though they're booked like shit?
I've liked what I've seen from 2.0 so far, but I won't use them as my example.
I'm glad you... die on that hill.
Private Party, I would not consider a great tag team or a good tag team. The Butcher and the Blade, no. The Acclaimed have a lot of potential.
Got a lot of potential.
But we haven't...
greener than pepper trees,
yeah.
But what have they done with them to put them in a main event position?
What are the Best Friends? No. The Young Bucks, everyone knows what I think of the Young Bucks. Jurassic Express, no. But at least they don't have Marco Stunt. That's an upgrade. They went from Marco Stunt to Christian Cage. All right, look, they have FTR and a bunch of tag teams. But yeah, the tag team division's awful. But going to the match, didn't like it. I hated the show after the early parts, but I'm watching it. And when the injury happened, I thought I saw what I saw.
Yeah. It looked like a cartoon, didn't it?
Yeah. And sometimes when I see something, I'll grab that body part because I'll like feel it. I go, oh my God. When they showed the replay, I made the mistake of watching. And I yelled so loud I woke up Suzanne. And then I yelled a third time. When they showed the replay again, I went, no! And I looked away. I couldn't watch that. I know you say, and he says, that it wasn't broken. But I never want to see an arm bend that way ever again. And I've never seen an arm bend that way before. And it was pretty disgusting to see. I wish they hadn't replayed it over and over again. And if this guy's actually going to be able to make a comeback anytime soon, that's remarkable. But I did not like this beyond the injury, which was too grotesque for me to want to see ever again. I didn't like the match. The angle of all the wrestlers standing there watching these guys celebrate. Jericho's in his seats because standing up would require effort. I'm not really feeling this. I hope they do something different with the tag team division at some point soon. But again, just want to recap this also, and I do have the ratings you asked me to pull up.
Well, hold on one second. I just want to make one more point, then we'll go to the ratings. Again, the gruesomeness of that injury, it couldn't have felt good, and the quality of the match that it had to happen in, because another old chestnut that I always learned when I first got in the business was if you're going to hurt yourself, at least make it an important match that everybody sees, right? Well, this was a garbage match that a few people may have seen, and it was a needless risk. There's risks everywhere. Anytime you get in the ring to have a wrestling match, there's a risk. And I've seen guys, I've mentioned it. First time I saw a guy get his leg broken in the ring was in Louisville Gardens, 1975. Tommy Gilbert suplexed a guy named John Rogers, vertical suplex. Old Rogers, I don't know what happened to him after that. He never became a major star, but he didn't really know how to take that vertical suplex. And he went over too far and got his leg bent under him when Tommy set him down, and it broke his leg in the middle of the ring. And there's a clip going around. Chick Donovan vertical suplexed a job guy on Atlanta TV back in 1980, and the guy didn't know what he was doing, wasn't experienced, was just a local jobber, got his arm underneath him, and it broke his arm when he landed. This shit happens even on the most elementary of moves. But generally, besides the freak accident, most of those cases can be chalked up to one of the people involved or both being inexperienced. And in this case, this was tempting fate for a ridiculously meaningless bump that, as I said, nobody was going to remember. And even though Felix is, if you like that style, he's very aerial and he's very acrobatic and agile and coordinated, but he's letting his fucking goof dinosaur do this to him. He should have known better. And there's already enough risk. You don't need to make it worse by doing shit that's either not necessary or you don't know how to do, or both. And that's what we've seen. Most of these injuries take place on one or both of those circumstances were in play. Either one of the people didn't know how to do that shit, or they were doing something they shouldn't have been doing to begin with. It was meaningless. And that's just I'm astonished. But when I see this, and it's Tony Khan's place to say this to his employees, to his troops, to his team. What the fuck? Gear it back. You think these people sit through the pudding gang matches. You think they're going to set the seats on fire if we don't break 5 tables? Gear it back. Let the top guys use the furniture much less often to make it mean something, and instill in your underneath talent roster less is more, and do the execution of 10, a degree of difficulty 5 instead of the other way around. But unfortunately, he's made a major mistake in that they do not recognize the talent in AEW, that there is an underneath talent roster. They think everybody's equal and everybody gets to play. No. There's some extras, there's some walk-on parts, there's some supporting characters, and then there's your movie stars. And Tony Khan needs to tell all of the extras, walk-ons, and supporting players who the fuck they are and what the fuck their job is around there. That's another thing that needs to be done. But it won't be.